I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna play this, but I am gonna explain something.
Mhm.
Um, so Cardi B has responded to Joe Budden. Joe Budden reviewed Cardi B's album, and he spoke very highly of the album. Actually, in fact, he started the review by saying, "I'm going to glaze Cardi B. That's what I'm here to do today." He broke down the album. He played a bunch of stuff, and in that, he said uh, that they did a great job. Whoever was writing with Cardi did a great job. Now, he was very complimentary about the album. I'm not going to play anything he said,
Mhm.
but he was very complimentary about the album throughout the album review. But
Mhm.
Cardi B responded to something specifically that Joe Budden said. He said, "Whoever's writing with Cardi did a phenomenal job. I don't know who wrote this stuff, but they did a great job." So Cardi B responded and said, "Whoever wrote it, nah, that's Cardi. This is my process. I'm a natural roaster, and you already know I'm quick with the mouth. So I'll be coming up with lines and I'll record myself, then lay it later. Don't give me backhanded tens, cause I'll always be able to prove my shit." And that tweet came with a video of Cardi reading some of the lyrics from her album. Not writing, reading some of the lyrics. I'm not going to play Joe Budden's video. I'm not going to play Cardi's video. You can go find it if you want. But I do
Mhm.
have a problem with this, and I would like to respond by explaining something to the viewing public. There's a person who writes a lot of girl raps, if you want to call it that. And his name is Pardison Fontaine, whose real
Some of
name
y'all
is
might know him
Jordan
as.
Kyle Lanier Thorpe. Oh,
Mhm.
what'd you say?
I was gonna say some of y'all might know him as Megan Thee Stallion's ex-boyfriend. Yes, that one.
Ah, yes,
Sometimes you gotta
yes,
break it
that
down for
guy.
the girlies.
And so his real name, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting the girlies know. So Jordan Kyle Lanier Thorpe is Pardison Fontaine's real name. And if you
Like
go
Lake
through
Lanier.
Cardi B's album, yes, yes, my silly co-host. If you go through this album, on most of the songs in the writing credits, he is
Mhm.
credited as a writer. It says Jordan Thorpe on most of the songs. I
Yeah.
went through it, and if I remember correctly, there were only 4 songs he was not credited. But even if I'm wrong, and it's 5, let's just say he was not credited on 5 songs. There are 23 songs on the album. You can do the math, listener. It means that he contributed to most of this album. So,
Yes.
no, we cannot just lie and say whatever we want. Donald Trump cannot do it. Cardi B cannot do it. Because there is proof when we say things today in 2025. Donald
Yes.
Trump likes to get on TV and say things that we already know are not true because there's either video or document proof. And Cardi B has borrowed this move from the president. Well, Cardi B, I'm sorry, but you can't do it either. Because the same way people will find the proof and say that the president is lying, well, we will find the proof and say that Cardi B is lying. Cardi B, on your album, it says Jordan Thorpe in the writing credits on most of the songs. So, Cardi, you
Mhm.
cannot put up a video of you reading a lyric and try to convince us with working brains that this is proof. I have
Mhm.
no problem with Cardi B, but I do have a problem with people lying when there's clear proof that says otherwise. Does it mean that Jordan Thorpe came up with every line on the album? No, I'm not that stupid to believe that Cardi B wrote zero. I do believe Cardi B contributed to this album. Absolutely. I believe that Cardi B is savvy enough and smart enough to come up with some of this stuff herself. But the key word here is some
Mhm.
of the stuff. And so, Cardi, when you go and try to act like you wrote all of the stuff, that I have a problem with. Because the writing credits, no matter what platform you use to look at this, will prove otherwise. Jordan
Mhm.
Thorpe, aka Pardison Fontaine's name, is in most of the writing credits on this album. Which means, Cardi, you did not write these diss records by yourself. It means, Cardi, you did not write this whole album by yourself. And that is a lie. Let's not lie to the public, especially when there's really easy ways to find the proof. Now, if you're
Right.
going to lie, and there's no proof, then more props to you. Get your lies off. But when there's proof and you try to play people, then we got to come forward and say, hey, man, stop it. Okay? I cannot go and say, hey, man, I got a hair transplant and show video of a hair transplant, and then a couple years later come out and say, no, this is my natural hair, man. Y'all ain't know? I've had this hair the whole time. Nigga, there's proof that you got a hair transplant. Now, I didn't get a hair transplant. I probably need one, but I'm just giving an example of things you cannot do. And so, once again, if you go through the credits, he's on most of these songs, okay? Now, let's look at Magnet and see if he wrote the diss record, because that I take a bigger issue with. Yeah, right here in the writing credits, there's a long list of names, and one of the names in the writing credits for Magnet is Jordan Thorpe. Now, maybe the rest of the world doesn't care if Cardi wrote her diss records or not. But personally, I have a problem when people write diss records for other people or help them with diss records. So Cardi in the video is reciting lyrics to Magnet. Magnet is a diss record to JT. And maybe y'all don't care. But for me, in hip hop, you're supposed to write your own diss records. And in the writing credits for Magnet, there's a lot of people. And one of those people is Jordan Thorpe, once again. So I just want to put some spotlight on the fact that Cardi's trying to act like she did this herself and didn't have help, but the writing credits show otherwise, including this diss record. And to me, it would have been better if Cardi said nothing, because then I wouldn't have to do this. And I'm sure other people will probably do this same thing. But you can't just say whatever today and think that no one's going to find proof, especially because proof is readily available in some of these moments. So that's it. I don't need to go on a long rant here, but Cardi lied. Jordan Thorpe, aka
Nice.
right. Jordan Thorpe, aka Pardison Fontaine, helped write most of this album, and that needs to be spotlighted. Okay? Because to me, it doesn't matter. To me, it's fine if he did. I don't care that the women writers have help. I don't care that the guy writers have help. I only have a problem when they come forward and act like they did it by themselves. That's when I have a problem. When we see Drake had help with diss records, or Drake had help with hit records, and he's walking around saying, I'm the best and I did it by myself, that I have a problem with. And it's the same here for Cardi. Cardi cannot walk around and say, I did it by myself and I'm the best, and then there's proof that writers were there. That's all.
Do you believe that? Do you believe the part where she says that she collects these one liners or things she thinks of and takes them to the studio?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
was just wondering.
Again, I believe Cardi wrote some of this album. Some is the key word, some. And I believe Pardison Fontaine and others wrote some of the album.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's clear. I guess the reason I'm asking, I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. It just, um, I think what she said resonated with me in the sense that I do that. I'll be like, ah, shoot, that's good for petty or not. Let me put that in my phone. Or I've recorded myself saying things that I want to use later, or written down things that I want to use later. Um, I just didn't want to negate that piece of it, because I also feel like there needs to be balance on both sides of this argument. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like, yeah, she she probably, I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking. But I did think to myself, well, oh, I do that. I'll say something, and then I'll be like, man, that was actually good. That was something that I should hold on to for when I need to use it, or whatever. Something like that. So I thought about that and I was like, well, not to say she did it by herself, but yeah, she probably did come up with some pieces of those one-liners. Maybe not even a full one-liner, but like, something, you something ass bitch, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure she actually did come up
you
with
know.
some of the lines. I believe that she did come up with some of the lines. But the
And she's
problem
very
is,
witty.
yeah, listen. I don't. I already said that. I don't dispute that Cardi is smart with. Cardi's a smart ass. Cardi is quick with the things that she says. I agree with all of that, and I am with that. What I'm not with is saying that I did it and it's all me when it's clearly not. Also, like I said in the video, trying to reconnect.
Seriously?
All right, looks like I'm good. In the video that Cardi posted, she's clearly reading from something. So that doesn't prove anything, right? It's not you sitting there writing it. It's not you in the studio. It's Cardi reading something. And she even like kind of stumbles a little bit when she's reading. So I'm not making fun of the fact that she stumbles when she reads. I stumble when I read too. It happens. But my point is she's clearly reading in that video, not coming up with the line.
Right.
And that matters.
Sure. Um, I will say this, because obviously I'm sure we're not getting to our second topic. So since we're still talking about Cardi at this point, I do want to say it seems like Cardi is very much paying attention to what everyone's saying. I just hope she watches our review.
I'm sure she.
But the reason I say that is because, that same Joe Budden that you talked about, his arch nemesis also had a lot to say about Cardi this past week. And Cardi responded to that as well.
Well,
Now, if you don't know who his arch nemesis is, she's a podcaster. And she had lots to say about the announcement that Cardi is pregnant. Some of it was harsh, the same way I'm saying everybody else being harsh. It was harsh and maybe a little unkind when you think about the fact that you're talking to or about a pregnant woman. Anyway, in any event, that happened and Cardi responded, which I would never think that, like, you know, it's by no means a little. I'll just say Crystal on the read, because we mentioned Joe Budden. We should mention Crystal's name as well. Um, Crystal had a lot to say, and apparently Cardi responded. So I'm curious. I'm trying to decide. Not that I'm curious, but I'm trying to decide if this is a good thing or not. Cardi paying close attention to what people are saying. Um, I think you. I think the urge when you release an album to know what people think is probably very strong. I've never released an album. I do not know what that feeling is like. But the urge to see what people think after you've put it out into the world is probably very strong. I'm different. I'm the type of person who, if I put out something creative, I hide because I don't want to know what everybody has to say as soon as I put it out, because I loved it for so long myself, and I'm not ready to hear what all the naysayers are going to say or all the people who judge are going to say. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing that she's so tapped in right now.
but she's
I'm
always
not
tapped.
sure.
Cardi
Yeah,
responds
I
to what
guess
people
so.
say on a regular basis. So this is not
Yeah.
a new thing.
Yeah, that's true. You're right about that. She is very much tapped in. I was just like, wow, this is. I mean, it ended up turning into a write up in Complex today. So, but yeah, so she's out there. She's listening to y'all. Hopefully, she listens to us. And I feel like I was very complimentary of and honest. Always honest. Bless you.
Based on the truth.
Right. Because listen, I'm never gonna lie. I'm never gonna come up here and lie and say I liked something I didn't like. If I didn't like it, I didn't like it. I actually think it's pretty solid, and I'm glad she's back. I loved. Let me just say this last thing I'll say. I loved Cardi's rollout. I thought that Cardi had the best album rollout that I have seen in years. I don't even remember the last album rollout that I thought was this great. And as someone who is, like marketing and advertising and all of that is very close to my heart. I loved all of this. I thought this was amazing what she did,
Yeah.
how she rolled this out, having people order her album on DoorDash, doing all kinds of things. Like, no notes on the promotion on this album. I want to see more of this. If you don't have video budgets anymore, can you put budgets towards promoting an album? Because that would be great. That's a callback to Lizzo, if anybody saw that episode. That's my final thought. Good luck to Cardi.
By the way, the album is already platinum because of WAP and other songs.
Yes, you are right. Forgot that piece. I mean, congratulations to going platinum.
Yeah.
I don't think those songs belong on the album, but that's my personal opinion.